Okay, so um, right now that this thing is done and this hatch is also done properly. Well, this hatch is also like missing a component. It's supposed to be a covering film that goes over to make your plane more aesthetically better looking. So then again it requires poster board, so we'll go over that step later. Now what we'll do is we'll keep our attention on this plate over here, and what we want is this plate to actually sit flushed up at the back over there and just get everything lined up properly. And since there's a small little turn over here, we'll take the box again and we'll slowly press and compress one side of our foam while pulling the other side down. So that will induce a slight curvature, which will be good enough for our build. It's not necessary to do this step, but it's always better if you do it, since that way your setup does not look quite blocky and it looks curved and nice and streamlined. Okay, now that that is done, okay, so we do have a slightly excess amount of tape hanging loose over here. Just go ahead and trim it there. Now we'll put this up over there and just stick it in place. B-fold, same thing, glue on the sides. Not too much glue, not too less either, just the right amount. Be careful not to burn your fingers. And keep it at the spot. Put the tape and just press it in place. Make sure that the surface is completely leveled, and after making sure that the surface is leveled, keep the plane placed with something like this and just hold it for well, the time until the glue dries up. Alright, so now that that is done, now that that is all done, we can go ahead and take our attention all the way back over here again. So now we are going to glue in our horizontal and vertical stabilizer, but before doing that, just go ahead and put your horizontal stabilizer in and just check whether the well, if you had to make some corrections here and there, whether the new place where you've placed, whether the new place where you have placed is actually good enough, or whether, in other words, whether your corrections were. So I apologize for the wire that was hanging down and still seems to be hanging. Yeah, so just check out for your corrections that you made and just place and see if your elevator is showing rotation in its complete axis, since mine is, and mine also seems to be quite straight. So that means I can actually go ahead and glue my horizontal tail inside. But before doing that, we'll have to make our wing. And well, actually we can go ahead and glue our vertical fin first, and then after that we'll have to make our wing, and then we'll have to glue it in. So the thing is, we'll be sending in this instructional video we would also be making the wing, but that's more to do only if you have somehow managed to damage your wing and you need to rebuild it. Else we would be building the wing and supplying it. or if you guys want to build the wing, then that way works as well. But then again, it comes with its own pack of advantages and disadvantages. Disadvantage one being you can't change anything according to your will, and advantage one thing being you don't have to go through the painstaking process of making the wing. Okay, so yeah, like I said, with our kits we'll also, we will be making the wing if you guys request us, and sending you guys the rest of the fuselage and the other parts to build, or we can send the whole set completely as well. Completely as well. So yeah, and I guess my glue just snapped off over there. That happens too. Just be careful and remember to use the 90-degree gauge. Use slightly more glue on the sides if you think that it's not gluing in place, if it's not glued in place. Excess foam, smear it off. Excess foam, smear it off. Use your set square again and measure the angle. Should be 90. Hold it over there, let it dry. Yes, that should have done it. Yes, nice and smooth. Now we don't want to glue it in right now, since we'll have to make sure that this horizontal stabilizer and our wing are in, well, parallel, not exactly parallel, but you can say are not oddly placed and are in synchronous. So we'll just place this horizontal stabilizer over here. We won't fix it right now, we'll come back to it later on. Sorry about the weird camera angle. Well, yeah, it becomes slightly difficult to do it when you're doing it straight face up. So what you need to do is put it down and then just align everything and snap it together. Well, yeah, that little piece goes inside, so split apart the tail, take it in, and then the side plugs stick on like that. Yeah, that's all. And then you have to, well, eventually glue it in, but we'll be doing it later on. So if you did it right, then your P51 Mustang should look something like this by now. Yes. And you can just leave all this aside for now. You can also leave this aside, since this is going to be just a small little you can say aesthetic accessory, and yeah, aesthetic accessory, nothing else. So leave that aside along with the fuselage, and we'll shift over to the wing. Now the wing is a slightly tricky part, so, well, it's also quite big. So before doing the wing, we would want our servos, we would want our servos to be centered. So how do you, one sec, how do you do that is you either connect the servos to your receiver, and you connect your receiver to your transmitter and power it up, and that way your servos will be centered. Or you can have something called as a servo centering tool. I'll just show it in a minute. So sadly my servo control, my servo testing tool seems to be having some issues, and because of that I will not be showing the servo testing tool, but instead of that I'll just be fixing my servos directly. So the servers that I am using, I had been using these servers on some other plane, so I had to take them out from that plane, and basically they have these small little sleeves, or yeah, they're called sleeves, servo sleeves. So they don't do much, they just catch hold of the push rod using these small screws over here. So yeah, moving over to the wings. So this is the right hand side of our wing, on in the right side wing of our aircraft. So there are a few steps that we need to uh, do with this wing. I'll just go over them. So, well, yeah, the first thing being, you see the lines. Of course, you have to score them, and okay, before that, you'll see that there are these small cut marks over here. These actually, okay, so they're through and through cut marks. So, not that, they're through and through cut marks, so they're actually representing the position for your landing gear. So you will have to place your landing gear over here, something like this, or maybe even like that. It depends upon you. Yeah, okay. So now, since we don't want our landing gear to actually puncture through this foam and damage our whole wing structure, what we'll do is we'll take some spare piece of either balsa wood, or I guess, yeah, or coroplast sheet, and we fix it over here. Something, well, not exactly that way, since we have our spar running through here, so we'll have to fix it halfway through, something like this, on this side. So basically a small little uh, cuboid sort of a thing going over here. So I'll just bring my balsa wood out. So for this I'm using a slightly thicker form of balsa wood, and it is also slightly softer and less dense than the ones that we are using in the spars. So it's just enough for your landing gear. Actually, you're supposed to do this with paint steerers, but since paint steerers aren't that common in my area, I'm using balsa wood instead. So what I'll do is I'll first see if the thickness is appropriate. Right, so I do need to shorten it up a bit. So better is that I shorten it up until somewhere around here. So I well, be careful while cutting wood with your hobby knife, but balsa wood does get cut easily with a hobby knife. So bring it up till here, roughly straight, not exactly uh, any, well, proper measurement is required. I mean, not exact proper measurement is required, not, yeah, not exact proper measurement is required. It should just be around a small little rectangle, well, square. Then you cut the square in two halves so that it forms two different rectangles that go on each wing. But yeah, a square. So something like this. Wait one sec. There, something like this. Then I can keep my balsa wood aside, go over and shave out these thorn like wood pieces that are coming off, so that you don't get hurt. Blow it away and out of your working area. And now you can see that it's actually quite big this way. So, or actually you can use it both ways. So yeah, right, I'll use it according to, okay. So if you like use balsa wood, you'll realize that it has grains in only one certain direction. So that means in the other direction it's going to be easily breakable, whereas in the correct direction it will be very hard to break. So if this balsa wood is easily breakable like this, but needs quite a load of force to break it like this, then that means my force should be working across this direction, basically over here, not over here but over here, like this. So for that I'll have to cut two different pieces, something like this, and place them over here. There, see, easily cuts along the grains are very easy. So for now keep them aside and focus on the wing. So you'll get your wing something like this, depending upon your choice of aircraft. Yeah, okay, so what you need to do is you have to apply tape over here, here, here and here. So I'll just do that quickly, and I'll just apply some tape. Here, and then okay, so wait, the aileron hinge is done. Then we need to apply from here all the way to this point. Right, got it. There, that way. Apply it, stick it, press it onto the foam. Do not try and remove the tape. If you make a mistake, just get another piece of tape and go over it. If you try and remove the tape, it will end up messing up the whole piece of that tape that has got stuck to the foam board or your Depron, because when you peel off tape from Depron, is going to take out some granules as well, so it will lose its adhesion and it won't get stuck the next time you want it to. Right, okay, I was just checking if my placement was correct. Next tape has to go through this piece all the way over here. That means from that end to this end. I take a good enough piece of tape, place it, align it right, place it, stick it down, and I guess I might have messed up over there. I'll just look after my tape is stuck properly. Okay, let me just take a look. Okay, no, it's perfect. Now that I am happy with the results, all I'll do is just run along my roller and make sure that there are as few air bubbles as possible. Then cut out this part, I mean the excess tape that's hanging out, cut that loose, throw it away. Same thing on the other side. Excess tape, cut it loose. Something like this. Throw it away, throw it away, throw it away, throw it away. Okay, now that is done. One more tape going over here, just to protect this part where we'll have to make a bevel cut next. So yeah, that's more that's gonna come in the future. So go ahead, place the tape like that. Okay, so see, I did that, but it's not actually recommended to do that since you're going to mess up your tape. Go ahead, cut the tape. Now we won't be requiring the tape for a while. And next up, knife. Go ahead, trim out the excess tape. Yeah, and now just cut this piece loose, so that will set your aileron free, and you can flip over, score this line, and slowly break open your aileron. There, your aileron surface. Now we do have to give one double-sided bevel in the center. Okay, we'll do that soon. Right, so before that, these markings over here, take your barbecue skewer, pointed tip, set flat on the ground, run it through to separate those foam walls. Let the foam come out and just throw it away. Then take your blunt side, pass it, rather press it in, and make enough space for your foam to fold over. Excess foam can just be thrown away. Same thing on the next fold as well. Yes, that way. And then the blunt part, be careful while working around this area. It can get a bit crammed up and it can get torn, like mine is gonna now, just like that. If that happens, it's all right. Like as it is, we're going to break that piece later on, or you can say cut this piece apart later on, so it's not much of a difference maker. And then you'll have your foam board, your wing, something like this. It'll look something like this. You can spread it out, and you'll also be able to bend it up to a certain mark, but apart from that, it won't go further. Now for it to go further, what you need to do is take your barbecue skewer. Okay, this is a simpler method. Barbecue skewer through the score cut, press it down, and eventually break your skewer. Well, if that happens, just take another tip and just go ahead, run it through. Next, let this hatch open up on its own. There, perfect. Now grab your knife and 45-degree bevel cuts. You can go ahead and change the degrees a bit more according to how tight you want your wing to fold over, or how loose you want your wing to fold over, or you can keep it at 45 degrees itself. So yeah, just keep doing that, bevel cutting. And if you like pass through the foam, it's all right. You can always put a tape on the other side and everything will be okay. Something like this. Then you can go over and just smoothen out the edges. Check if you went overboard anywhere. Nope, luckily no place. Then turn over, same thing, 45 degrees. Start off with a little lesser than 45 and then go ahead and make a perfect 45-degree cut. Keep on cutting all the way up till the other end. All the way up to this end. So what you'd want to do is, after you reach that end, you'd slowly want to subside the cut and just level it out. Something like this. You reach this end, slowly start leveling out the cut and just let it go. You might want to crease it or just smoothen it out later on. Just a personal wish, not necessary. Oh, and if that happens, then just don't worry much about it. Don't worry about it. It'll be all. Won't hinder much with the performance of the jet or the plane. Now, just perform a trial. You can say press over to see if nothing is going in the opposite direction, like that. Press it slightly. Oh, perfect. And you will see that this little piece is poking a bit unusually out in the front. So if you want to get that corrected, take your knife, go a little deeper, slightly more deeper, and then fade out slowly. That's it. Now if you do the same thing, it should be much better. Well, yeah, something like that. It still is there, but it's not as bad as it was. Or you can go ahead and slightly add a bit more angle to this bevel. That should also work, maybe. Yeah, that works as well. Perfect. Now that your wing is set, we'll place, okay, yeah, the aileron is still left. So for the aileron, the same thing, 45 degrees. This time we'll do it on the aileron surface, since the aileron is actually quite big. So go ahead and cut all the way. And if you're using these type of hobby knives, they'll over time, or with usage of some sort of glue, they might just wear out a bit quicker. So you'll have to keep on changing blades every now and then. So that's just one thing to be taken care of. And just scrape off anything that is uneven. There. Make sure that the deflection that you're getting is good enough. For a beginner, this much deflection is way too much, so it's alright for now. Then what you would want to do now is you'll want to right, you would want to take your wing spars. So basically these are your spars, and yeah, these are your wooden spars. So wooden spars have these arrow marks. Actually, I had to remake this spar so it doesn't have an arrow mark, but the ones that are available in the kit will be having these arrow marks, so that you can line it up and have a go at it. Yeah, that way, so that you can line it up. Now how they'll fix is they'll fix beside this, like that. Yeah, they'll fit beside like this. So to do that, punch out these holes like this. Yeah, can be slightly damaging, but don't worry, just do it calmly. There, clear out any excess waste, and then focus on fixing your spars. Just try to do a dry fit test first. You'll have to slightly press these pin, not exactly pins, but press these spacers slightly inwards, just to get them inside this small little crammed up space. So that, and like that, there. And then you would want your wooden spar to go in front of these. Yes, you'll want your wooden spar to go in front of these, and just perform a check whether it's working out or not. There. And also you'll have these two the spacers actually, so they're for the wings, so you have to place them like that, one on each wing. Something like this, and you have to stick them in place. Then your wing comes over, folds over on top of them, and rests like that. We'll be inducing the dihedral as well. Well, now we have two different ways of going about it. One is you actually input the correct amount of dihedral on the gauge, and then create the not the gauge but on the balsa wood, and create that type of spar with the balsa wood. Or the other method is to join the bases of the both wings together, and then just squish them together later on. So I guess we'll be going with the second method. So to do that, I'll collect my balsa wood spars separate, I mean place it separately. My spacer will go separately, and my this pair of wing spars will be separate. But before that, I can take this moment to actually glue them in place, since we are supposed to glue them. So just take a good amount of hot glue and glue them together. Not too much, since too much will actually melt up the foam. So we want to take just enough so that the foam doesn't melt, but the glue also, like, sticks or adheres to the other side as well, just like that. Like that. And you can either put a pressure yourself on it, or have some other kind of a constant pressure item placed on it. So either way works out. Now just place it somewhere where it is safe and we can focus on both the wings. So the other wing is also going to look something like the same, this wing itself. I'll just clear some space since both the wings together are actually quite huge in size. There. So it doesn't matter whether you have taken these bevel cuts perfectly or not. If you're getting the end result good enough, then you don't have to worry about them. Be careful with your glue gun. If your glue gun, even if it's switched off mode, if it starts to get in contact with your surface, it will melt it up. Well, I am getting quite a lot of resistance from my right side, but not so much from the left side. But since with the spars the right side was actually holding up pretty good, I'll just leave it at that. Or if you want, then you can go ahead and make this right hand side bevel a little bit more cleaner, and then that way you can have slightly better advantage as well. I mean, you'll have a slightly better advantage over us, since we will have to deal with thicker, harder to bend foam over here. Now what you do is you stick the bases together. So put them upside down, pair them up, match the bases together, and stick that area using foam, using tape. So just find out your end, take a small piece of tape, hold it up over here, right, and just place it while they're stuck together. Right, it doesn't need to be all that neat. Then go ahead, take one more tape, place it at the starting edge and make it run all the way to the back like this. Cut using your scissor first, and then you can give it some sharpness using your cutter, like that, like that, and yeah, that's it. Okay, so also cut out this one part. There we go. Now that those are out, we can fix our attention onto the top side. Just for your leisure, you can just go ahead and see if everything is lining up perfectly. Give it a slight dihedral to see that. And yeah, over here you'll notice that it's actually missing some amount of foam. Well, that's because of course I had cut it, right? This had got cut over here, so that's why. Even if your ailerons are even if your wings are slightly off the mark, it won't hinder much with the flight characteristics, just that your plane will look a bit funny. Well, apart from that, nothing much happens. So now you would want to okay, so there are two parts of going about it. One part is you first glue in this strip, glue in all the base points or the base things that go on the base, fold over your wings, open them, put glue over here, slightly open them, put glue in the center and close them up again. The other way is you don't fix this and you just keep following the rest of the steps, and when the time comes, at last you fix this split piece. I guess we can follow that. So I'll just turn over the piece. Right, now I need to apply my spar and my spacer, of course. So what I'll first like to do is I'll also like to join the other two spars together. So right, just match them up with their shared characteristics, and then just not characteristics, more like shared specifications and shared dimensions, and then just apply some amount of glue. Not too much to burn the foam, and just glue the whole thing in place. Like that. Until that dries up, take your first spar. Well, you can fit it in both of them, it won't matter which one you fit it, just that if you're fitting it, they should be flushed against the center. For example, this one, if I fit it over here, it's against the center, but if I fit this piece over here, it's got this little gap. So if that gap is there, you'll end up making your wing quite weaker. So to avoid that, just keep everything centered to the main line. Then to stick this, don't apply the glue over here, since that's just gonna stick onto the ground. Apply it on this surface. So I take my glue stick, generous amount of glue, there, I keep it aside, turn it over, and just take it in place. Easier said than done. You have to first line it up so that they all go inside, and then you can just hold on, you've got to move it again, and then you can just press everything inside, just like, sorry about that, just like that. Then wipe off any excess. Don't do it like me, I just burnt my finger again. And one more thing. So we should put our spars behind our foam spars. That will work. If you put it against, or rather in front of your these home spars, then it will hinder with your landing gear. So that's the only thing. Just one sec, please. Yeah, never mind. So fix it up over here like that. Make sure he's able to go to the lavatory. Make sure he's able to pass this small little gap. That was a bad joke. Okay, never mind. It's able to pass the gap, so I guess I can keep this aside for a while. And now I'll fix. I mean, what I mean to say is, I know that this dimension is perfect, so I'll keep this aside. I'll use my well, this is supposed to be the spacer, so I'll use my spacer and I'll start fixing my spacer up first. So I guess, yeah, this way. There, that way. Can fix it up. good amount of glue. Line it up, and that's all. Fix it slightly on top, not too much, just slightly. There. Press it a little so that it's all dried up in place. Remove any excess glue from your hands. Alright, press it up. Make sure everything is nice. Now take your wooden spar and glue it in place. Something like this. Should glue in something like this. So yeah. Generous amount of glue again. Well, this is balsa wood, so slightly more. Yeah, and then alternately you can also put one slight drop of glue over on the base so that it's just adhered better to it. That's all. Also, one more thing, remember never to keep your gun upside down, and then just line it up perfectly and stick it. Hold it in place, smear off any excess from the top side. Place it a little back so that you can hold it. There. Okay, so I've just about completed the same step on the other side. So I'm left with fixing the wooden spar. So I'll just do that right now. Right after I clean this place. There. Just like that. Making sure that there's enough room if we want to add a dihedral. Yeah, there is. So don't worry, these markings will already have been done on your set, and we'll also give enough room for dihedral placement, so you don't have to worry much about that for now. As it is, the dihedral angle is not going to be much. For example, it's going to be around this much. That's like that. Actually, not like that, more like over here. So that's fine. But I'll still be happy with this thing being over here, since if I want to add some, I can actually add extra angle over here, else I can just fill it up with glue. So I'll fix it like this. So adding a generous amount. And also adding the adding at the base. So my glue gun is about to end. There, it ended. I'll just smear it up and over into the spar that way, and just in general hold it with moderate strength, of course, and just wait for it to fix itself. And of course, try not to get burnt by the hot glue that's oozing out from all the sides. Good. Now that everything is looking good, I'll just try and fix my wing. So it should look something like this, and if I rotate this one, it should look something like this, and it should match up pretty much. So it's actually matching up pretty good. This last bit that you can see over here, that's actually why, because while the plans were getting made, some 1920 error over here and there actually shifted this endpoint from here to here. So because of that, I had to draw this whole thing myself. I'll make sure that while giving you guys, while cutting your plans in the kit, this won't happen, but it did happen with me. So that's that. I'll just fix the wing as soon as I plug in my servos. So now with each servo, you'll actually want to add around 60 centimeter. Yeah, actually no, you'll want to add around 15 centimeter extensions, but since I don't have any 15 centimeter ones left, I'm going to be using 60 centimeter extensions on this one. So here is the extension. Just plug it up that way. Yellow goes to yellow, brown goes to brown. Hook it up, and from my experience, I know that this servo is centered somewhere around here. So this can be, yeah, somewhere around here. Anyways, but one good thing about this plane is that you can change the arm, the servo arm, whenever you want, without actually replacing the whole servo. So well, that's just because the servo is placed right over here. So now, yeah, that's all. I'll just place the servo and I'll get the thing stuck. So while sticking the servo over here, remember to push the arm up, stick it like it's up to you. You can even stick it like that, or like how I do it, like this, with small back braces. Else you can cut small relief over here for your servo arm, let's say somewhere around this much. Yeah, somewhere around this much, and just glue the whole servo in place in the remaining area. Something like this. Servo goes here, that thing comes over. But before going here, we would want to create a hinge, since we haven't created any hinges for our ailerons. So I'll just do that quickly. I'll have to change done. Just doing it quickly so that I can get over with it. Applied generous amount, extra scrap, mark it, squeeze it off, press it inside slightly, there, that way, and you can just leave it. Same thing over here, the other one. Open it up. Yeah, generous amount. I mean, not too generous, but generous amount, generous enough for hinge, like that. Scrap piece, flatten it out, scrape off as much as possible. The more you scrape out, the better it is, but leave some for the addition. Then scrape off again and scrape off all major glues. Ow, okay, you don't want that to happen, else you'll burn your hand. So just be careful while working all this, while working with all this. There, just hold it in place until it, okay, but yeah, it dried up as well. Nice. So now it can move with relative ease. I'll also show one more way of opening this channel up, but that's more for later. Now we'll be shifting our attention to the whole wing in general, and now would also be the right time for us to fix our servos along with our small little landing gear pieces. So this goes over here, this goes over here, and then you just stick it like that. Good enough. Apply a generous amount of glue. On both the sides, the bottom and the side, I mean the back part, and stick it in place like that. Same goes for the other one. Apply glue, generous amount, back part as well. Move it around here and there and stick it in place. That's all for the wing, apart from the servo motors, of course. Right, so now on to the servo motor part. Take your servo motor. Before sticking it on, remember to remove the sticker and scratch out this area using your extractor or hobby knife, just like that, so that you have a pretty much rough surface for your glue to hold on to, and so that your servo doesn't come out mid-air. Now put enough amount of glue on its bottom and also some amount on its back surface there, and just glue it in its place. I'll just move the whole setup to show where exactly it's being glued. Here, first the back, adjust it, then glue the front and adjust it. Hold it in there, hold it in there till it dries. There, that's it, let it dry. And then what you can also do is okay, so remember not to remember to look out for such errors in the future. Well, I had mistakenly put my servo in the opposite path instead of putting it over here, so just be wary of that. That means I'll have to use this servo. Just like that. or actually it would have been better to make a new one, but it's okay. Okay, right. So now I guess I agree that I would like to glue it back over here, because if I have to ever change my uh, extension wires in the future, then I can easily access them over here, rather than them being over here. So therefore I'm going to stick my servo back to this position. So like that, generous amount to make the other leftover amount melt as well here too. Now let the already stuck glue melt first, and then just press your servo motor in and hold it in place for about a few seconds. Don't touch the glue yet, might be very hot. I have burnt off some of my nerves, so that's why I'm able to do that. Now as far as this thing goes, you can just leave it as it is, or you can tend to it later on. Actually you're supposed to use, like I said, 15 centimeter extensions, but I didn't have them. I only had these 60 centimeter ones, so I'm using the 60 centimeter ones. There, just let it be. Just let it stick. Okay, it's stuck. Good. Now move over to the other surface. Take the other servo and the other extension. Connect the extension together. And yeah, connect the extension together. See that the servo arm is out of any hindrance, or it's rotating free in its degree of in its particular degrees. It's rotating devoid of any you can say friction or something. That would mean that your servo motor is good. It's not. Yeah. Then yeah, put in the glue. Apply the glue at the back as well, and smear it off. Hold it in place. That's it. Hold it in place, let it dry, and this will be it. Okay, now what you do, you first check whether your control surfaces are all having free motion. Yep. Now take one side first, right? Take one side first and practice your fold. So it's going to be something like this. Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. Practice your fold. It's going to be something like this. Yep. Okay. Now what we need to do is we need to fill up this and this while keeping this open. So gonna do that right now. fill up this. Then this. Keep it aside, hold it together, place this flat, and then just keep the wing over the spar. Hold it with your hands or something heavy like this transmitter box, and be wary of not knocking off your glue gun. There. So basically you want it to be flushed against its spar, so that these glue spacers, when they dry up, they leave the wing in that certain shape. So hold on, just let it glue. Just let it stick, just let the glue stick. I guess now we can remove it and just hold it in place. And if there is any excess, you can just rip it off. Okay, guess it is done. Yeah, look at that curve, perfect. Now the same thing on this side, except for when I knocked out my glue gun, I actually switched it off by accident, so I'll just switch it on. There we go, it's back online. Now I will, now I will do the same thing for the right side. And if you guys want, I'll let it be in the video. If you guys want, you can skip the video or skip this section. The clevis of your open the structure, pour in generous amount of hot glue. And hold it on place. It can get a little hot, like this one. It started to burn my fingers, so you have to be careful not to burn yourself. Ow. Yeah, and just keep it held over there. Well, for symmetry, what you can also do is you can push this over there. For now, push this inside. This is only an extra step for some extra amount of symmetry, not exactly required. Take this, keep it flat, and just check if they are lining up together. If they're not lining up together, don't worry, you can always go in and change it right now. Else, if they are lining up together and they have a slight plus minus length issue, then it's alright. Need not worry about it. So right now, all I have to worry about is keeping this thing locked in place, which is actually pretty easy. So I just have to hold it down like this actually. started to solidify, so hopefully we'll see some good results. Right, done. There we go, good enough. Remove any excess if there is, like these spots over here. Remove them, throw them away. Now just test fit it once again, and it should be flushed flat against like that. Now what you would want to do is make this a dihedral using the gauge and just stick it together. But before doing that, you have to stick the individual pieces first. So now we need to cut a relief for these wires, since they don't have exactly any place to go to. So what we'll do is, go through. So what we'll do is we'll take a small little cut over here, and you can replicate that cut on the other side. Something like that. Then just wait and wait until the whole wing is complete, and then you can give it a little more precision. So now for one side of the wing, for the left side of the wing, keep all the wires on the right side and fold over the left side while test fitting it. Now you know where exactly what goes. Keep one extra fuel stick in hand, and just in general start applying glue. So we want to apply it over here, here and here. Generous amounts, not less, not too much, like that. Little on the servo motor as well. Then over here on the edge spacer, and of course in over here. There, empty. Luckily I have the other one handy, like that. And last bit over here a little. Okay, good. Now I take this, remove some debris that's hanging, and then I just slowly turn it over, put pressure on it and keep it held in place. Hmm, 10 seconds more. Hold on to it. That's all. Should have stuck there. Perfect. Stuck on really well. Now, yeah. Now move all the wires to the leftmost position possible. Currently, this one over here is the leftmost position. So move all the wires over there. Right. Like that. And then the same thing. Put glue on the same ends and just glue it in place. Don't glue in the dihedral yet, because there are some measurements that we would have to make, maybe might have to be made. So also you might just damage the whole piece while gluing in the dihedral right now, so it's always better to do it in the end. Like that. Small one over here. Now this one was a tough one, so okay, so it also has some drops over here, so we'll just retrace these drops, and I guess that should be it. Now press, 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 keep it held, keep it held, keep it held. Make sure that the tip lines up and the maximum height lines up. The hind side can be augmented with some presses and things here and there. Main thing is this, the tip. So it's everything is lining up perfectly, so just need to hold it together in place. $20 more seconds. And that must be it. Okay, so see this. You might have noticed this glue formation that took place over there. Well, not exactly formation, that my tape had burst through. My glue had burst through my tape, so it just oozed out. Well, it happens sometimes, but don't be too scared about it. It's not going to hinder much. Rather, it's not going to hinder anything with the flying capabilities of this one. Right. Now we need to give it a good enough dihedral. So to give the dihedral, we have this special technique in which we use a thing called the dihedral gauge to adjust the angle. So basically it's a small little piece of foam. So we will take the dihedral gauge or gauge, as you may want to pronounce it. Keep it, yes sir. Keep it under the. Right. So keep it exactly over here, or here is also fine, but I usually keep it over here. So keep it exactly over here, this part, and then just measure out the angle and just stick it in place. So pardon me if I go a bit off the view field like that, with the other base being flat. So to do that, I need to open it up and add generous amounts of glue drops over here, and all the way up till here. And also like trim things a bit since they weren't trimmed. There, good. Now I can take my glue, open the hatches up, fill everything up with glue, nice amounts of glue. And then okay, yeah, so I have to keep a foam handy. I do have a foam handy, so don't worry. I mean, I don't have anything to worry about that, about burning my fingers. Where else is left? I guess that's all. Is that all? Yep, that is all. So I press it down, right? I take my dihedral gauge without having any blurs down below the belly, below the wing. I keep it like that. The dihedral gauge goes on one end and the other end is pressed against the ground. What dihedral actually does is it provides stability to the aircraft. So, and it's good for beginners as well. So that's why we generally use dihedral on our planes, and generally that's why also generally the flight test crew uses dihedral on their planes. Well, I picked up my glue gun to put more amounts of glue over here, but since my cord is not that long for the glue gun, it's going to, well, it's going to be done in a few minutes, in a few seconds rather. So hold on to it, hold on to it, hold on to it. It's gonna stick, it's gonna stick. This usually takes a little longer to stick, and you have to hold on to this piece, else your angle will be all messed up. So I don't have any other choice. I guess now we can. It does seem to be it's still drying, but it does seem to have, there we go, and it's falling down again. So if this happens, that means your glue is actually not dried up yet. So what you need to do is you need to open it up slightly, pour in more amounts of glue so that the old glue melts along with the new glue, and again fix it in place. Like this. Hold it over here. Like that. And hold it in place. And be careful not to touch your servo wires, or not to let your glue touch your servo wires. Take scrap piece of foam, start by pushing this glue inside like that, and then continue it, smear it all the way, and then just hold on to it. It'll take a long time to fix actually, so you gotta keep some weight on it, and you can go about doing your other chores. Just gotta wait until it dries. Let it dry, let it dry, it's still wet. Yes, it's all starting to heal up. Nope, we gotta keep it for a longer while. So separate it, again apply the same amount, and this time just leave it in place. Let the nature do its work. Just put some weight on it and let the whole thing just be there. And I'll resume the video once it has stuck nicely. Well, yes. Damn it. Hot glue just pierced through. Keep it like that. Smear off this whole glue pack. And don't forget the temperature set on your control knob if you have a temperature controllable glue gun. Now I just gotta keep some thing, the transmitter box on top of my lower wing, I mean the wing that's there on the bottom part, and I can just wait until everything glues.